Okay. Yeah, the metaverse, that's a crock of shit. The guy's like selling you the guy like creates something that convinces you that the world is like a negative and terrible place, and then he gives you the solution to get out of it.
Yeah. And what the solution to get out of it? He wants you to go deeper with the freaking Oculus 3D metaverse.
Yeah,
right. So that everybody completely checks out of reality.
Huh. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Then that is your new reality,
and it becomes a new reality.
Yeah.
That's how they addicted people to heroin in the 60s.
Yeah.
They gave them the good stuff, and then
feed
is
them
that how they
garbage.
did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how the CIA did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Hey, I just found out that Hamilton used to have like a mental institution and like a bunch of like hospitals for and like I think a prison for the criminally insane or something.
Sure.
And then they just stopped all those programs.
It was big business.
And then just let them all out onto the streets of Hamilton. And that's how Hamilton was born.
Well, it makes sense. It all makes sense.
It all makes sense.
Right?
Is it on Barton Street, maybe?
I think it's probably. I think that's what happened. Like, someone was telling me that on the weekend. I did a gig there.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What's wrong with my mic? I got to get right in my lips here. Sorry, there it goes.
That's clarity for Hamilton right there.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, whoever told me that, I'm like, I get it now. That makes sense. They're just like fourth generation, like crazy person on the street.
Wackadoos.
Because they do have a higher level of confidence, don't you think? The homeless people in Hamilton.
Well, that's the one thing. Yeah, the crazier you are, the more confident you can be.
Yeah.
Right,
that's
because you believe in your own insanity enough that it doesn't matter if nobody else does.
Yeah, they're like the Hamilton homeless people are brazen.
Yeah. But, I think what's happened, too, is don't forget, Hamilton had all those places, but so did Toronto.
Yeah.
And the big Lakeshore. Now, do you know the old Lakeshore Mental Health Institute in Toronto?
I didn't know about that one.
In Etobicoke. It's a huge spread. It's haunted as hell because there's all the underground passages that take you between the buildings that they used to take the crazy people through.
Oh, yeah.
There is the one room that you go in there that was the hose down room.
Is it still open?
The hose down?
No, they were doing scary tours at Halloween for a while. But I think they may have developed it all now because for a long time they were doing film studios. As a matter of fact, here's a little bit of trivia. Police Academy movies were shot there.
Really?
The Lakeshore Mental Health Facility was the location for the police academy for police academies 1, 2, and 3.
I just thought that was a police academy. Honestly, God.
Yeah, no, it was the Lakeshore Mental Health Facility in Toronto.
You fell for it, Kev. Can you just go back to what a hose down room is?
Yeah. So it's kind of scary. So when they had the patients who were a little out of hand and needed to be subdued a little, they had a room, and it was almost 2 stories tall, and it was like a large swimming pool, but there was doors at the end, and they would take them and they would hit them with fire hoses.
Whoa.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it would take the fight out of them.
Yeah, it would do that.
Yeah, and clean you up a little, too, maybe.
And clean them up at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like... you probably feel alive after that's done, eh? Like after they do that to you, you would be hating it while it was happening, but afterwards you'd be like, "Man, I feel great."
I survived the fire hose.
Yeah, that's you feel like you have like a renewed energy to take on your day in the insane asylum.
Part of the club.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to get those nasty fingerprints all over your paintings in it.
Yeah.
When you're doing your arts and crafts.
Yeah. It was like since the beginning of time, it was our strategy was to beat it out of people and like to break their spirit.
Yeah.
And you think about it. What was the term for insane at different periods of time?
Oh yeah.
Like a woman who would speak against a man and read.
Yeah.
In the 1890s, that was insane. Off she goes.
Well, she was a witch,
right?
Yeah, she was a witch.
No, that was earlier. Right?
Oh, sorry.
And actually now today.
And true.
And true.
Yeah. Also, if they weigh the same as a duck.
Well, yeah. Well, they're the witches because they cast spell on us men because they use this thing called logic.
Actually, I think they use vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm powerless to it. Hey, we should talk about a lot of stuff.
All right.
But we have to actually begin the show because we are rolling now.
Oh, we are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you have a viewer?
Oh, I don't know because I have like so many things running at once. I'm just happy that both things are going. Wait, you know what? Maybe I'm just being a baby, right? Maybe I should just face my fears, Kevin, and see.
Yeah, man. I guarantee we have a viewer.
Got it. Live. It says, that's on Facebook. Hey, we do have 2 viewers right there.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And let me see on YouTube.
2 beautiful viewers.
Wow. Well, we love them.
Right, we do.
And
They're amazing.
this one, I don't know if it's rocking or not. Why ain't it not working? Let me see.
Is the YouTube going? That's what matters.
Hold on. Let me just check my YouTube. God damn it. No, it's going, man.
Sweet.
It's going. Yeah, let's rock the Casbah.
Right.
I'm going to go to this. Yeah, you know what we should do? Play that goddamn theme song, eh? I'll check it while the theme song's playing. Wow, I can't believe it. We are rocking on both platforms. Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Shed. It's another Tuesday night. I believe my good friend told me that today is Harassment Day. Where's the music coming from? Oh, that's a theme song again. This is weird. Is this some sort of a... Oh, I'm playing... Right now, I'm probably playing the live stream. There I am. There you go. Shut up. We were listening to ourselves. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not really good at this technology, Craig. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dutch Hall. As I said, we're here on a Tuesday night, Harassment Day, and we have a great lineup. We've actually booked a guest for the love of Pete because we realized...
And we love you, Pete.
We suck together.
No, it's not that, Kev. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Well, first I'll introduce you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Season 8 All-Star, Kevin. I'm going to call you this time, Kevin. I have no nickname, Van Dungeon. How about that?
I'll take it.
This is you think that's part? Is that part? Sorry, I let the applause wear out.
That's all right.
I was stepping on your applause from your great gracious applause. Do you think the fact that we weren't able to come up with a nickname for you, Kevin, after like almost a full year here,
Right.
Is that a testament to your character?
Perhaps.
I
thought we had How Do You Like Them Apples was one.
Yeah.
But this is your season.
It's my season.
It
Have
is
you
a
not
season.
seen the commercials?
I have not.
It's the season of Kevin.
Oh.
Is it really?
Home Alone.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's going to be as good. I don't think so.
Yeah. You know what, Kevin? Your name's a hard K.
Yeah.
So you're going to get fucked over quite a bit because you were right teetering on the carols. You get thrown in with the carols. You get thrown
Kevin.
Karens.
Karens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Karens. Yeah, those are the
Kens
worst.
and Karens.
Yeah. Imagine that couple, Kevin and Karen.
Yeah, those hard Ks will get it. So
Oh,
Kevin's are next. You're not out of the woods. Hey, you ever hear some people throw Kyle in the joke now
Let's
and again?
start it. Let's start it right now. Don't be a Kevin.
Yeah, don't be a Kevin.
Oh,
Don't,
yeah, Kevin. Oh,
yeah.
Kevin.
You can't beat the hard C. And ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
the guest that we had booked that I just told you I did it. And we brought him in all the way all the way down the road from Langton, Ontario.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Craig MacLachlan. Comedian Craig MacLachlan. And who's this guy talking to you? You tuned into my show and you don't even know? You should be ashamed of yourself. I am the host of this show and two-time President's Club Award winner, Pete Van Dyke. Look, I'm going to do this. It's more like regular. It's so much better. Stupid mic stand. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good show. I'm pretty happy. I would say this is like a week off for me, Craig, because I don't have to think about anything. I can just let you go, and we'll be fine. Okay. Because I've every time I met you, I've got you got like 5 minutes in a parking lot before we're both going home,
right? And
we still always have a great chat. I always find that little bit of time, and it's always easy to talk to you. So I thought, this has got to be like a piece of cake. And you've been here for about that already, and we could have already finished the show with what we've already talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so this is going to be a piece of cake. But this, I understand, you told me before the show started, is your very first ever podcast.
First time.
Oh.
First time.
Yeah, right?
Pop my cherry.
Yeah.
I popped my cherry, and I was a little nervous going in, but it was gentle. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So far,
we're gonna take good care of you, and if you start slipping up, we'll always slip it to the person that I forgot to introduce here.
Oh yeah.
Robot Dave.
Hey.
We put Robot Dave in a new position this week to just creep out our guest.
Yeah, man.
He just sits eerily over his shoulder.
He does.
And wait, I have to wait 1 second.
Uh-oh. What's going on? I see.
Oh, he's got something special.
My effects.
Wait, we shouldn't break the fourth wall there, but it's
I don't think anybody knew.
I injured the robot today.
Yeah.
It was in a horrible vacuuming accident today, and
no.
Yeah, he's now paralyzed from the neck down, but he's still able to speak and think as well as he did before.
That's true.
So we're happy to have Robot Dave. Robot Dave, I'm sorry to not introduce you. Robot Dave, everyone.
You know I have a soft spot for Mexicans.
Wow, that's out of nowhere, Dave.
Oh.
Out of nowhere. I'm starting to hate the robot so much that I even want charters back. Like that's how low I've gotten.
Yeah.
Hey, Kev?
Yeah.
And what's your problem, man?
What?
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you should. My problem.
Like really? What?
Like I find myself like in this room. It's my office. This is where I do my work. And that fucking robot stares at me with his dead eyes all day long, judging me, is what I think.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You like that, do you?
He's your supervisor.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get used to it because the world is going that way.
Yeah, you're right.
It sure is.
We think the robots are going to work for us, but eventually we will work for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's dead true. It's because like they already. I know. Like sometimes people will say, you'll always need someone to build the robots. No, the robots are building the robots. The AI is doing everything. Math and science is beyond us. The only thing we can do now, and that's what I told my kids, because my kids are both were leaning towards like artistic pursuits, and I was like, well, that's what we should be doing as humans is going into the arts because you can't teach a robot to do that shit. But everything else, it'll drive our cars, it'll deliver our packages with drones or whatever the fuck they're going to come up with.
Are you sure they can't teach a robot to do art?
You can teach it to do art, but it doesn't mean anything. It's not coming from anything real. You know what I mean? It's like a joke, like jokes, right? You can see a kid who figures out how to tell jokes, right? But they're not they're not like funny or
Can
whatever.
they create the jokes?
But yeah, but it's not, or it's just like easy jokes, and there's, I don't know. Even with me, like when I started, I shouldn't talk about other kids, but like when I started, my jokes were about my dick, right?
Right.
And they still mostly are.
The things you know.
Yeah, the things I know, right?
You know.
So I told jokes about that, and then I was like, I remember my daughter saying to me one time, she's about probably 16 at the time. She's like, "Dad, are you still telling dick jokes?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "You're better than that." I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not."
Oh, no.
I am not better than that.
You see, isn't it true? Children believe.
Yeah. Like, no wonder I passed the Easter Bunny by for so many years. That was a crock of shit, man, from the beginning. It fucking rabbits don't lay eggs, dummy. No, just kidding. But what were we talking about?
We were talking about
robots.
Right. So I'm just my point is you should just be a little nicer to Robot Dave because he might have friends.
In the primary grades, I was known as Husky.
He does have feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's created a bit of a backstory for himself, and now he's trying to convince me of his emotions.
Poor Dave. Robot Dave.
The more that guy evolves is really the more that my brain deteriorates in this room. Like sitting in this room and just staring at did he blink? Did he fucking blink?
Did he just follow me? He turned his head.
Yeah. Is he crying now? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. One day he's going to be beaten to death with a microphone.
Can I ask, does he ever talk when I'm not here?
No.
Okay, that's good. That's a good sign.
Yeah, not yet. I'm trying to think. No. Only if I'm testing things out.
Okay,
he was doing the Mean Gene impressions one day with me.
I wish they were still around.
Actually, Channel 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you go up to the Channel 2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mean Gene?
Yeah.
Mean Gene.
He
does a good Mean Gene.
You want to hear one?
Sure.
He nailed a turkey from the rear.
Hey, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
How's that for timing?
That's pretty good, actually.
That's pretty timing.
Yeah. This is a good.
Yeah.
He does that good. That's a good impression there, right? Mm-hmm. What is it? There's a bit more like. You
want to hear him curse in Mean Gene?
Yeah, sure.
Back up into the ring in just a moment or two for more exciting fucking action.
Hey.
He does a good Mean Gene.
He does a good Mean Gene. Yeah, he does a good one. Yeah, I was gonna say. This is where I was going with that. You know how when I told jokes about my dick,
right?
And then my daughter, and then eventually you evolve,
right?
And I actually have
start telling jokes about other people's dicks.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that you saw it and to comfort you after your many bombs,
like Joe's little dick.
Oh my God, yeah, that's hilarious. Every once, do you know Joe Botello?
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know Joe. I've seen him in his Captain America.
Yeah, once a year I post that just to make me laugh, and it is so much fun. Like that's a gift. That's a gift to me.
Yeah.
Seeing his little pin dick in that thing is so funny to me, and I love it.
That's a cute little fella.
I can't believe he walks around with that. It's very, very terrible.
Well, that's the worst word for it too. Cute.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with
so
that?
Cute.
Yeah. It's like
Does it get any bigger?
Yeah.
I think it's just poking out of the mound there.
Yeah. It's like an outie.
Yeah. Oh, Joe.
Is that a button on her fur coat?
Aw.
Speaking of which, you can see me and Joe at Rhythm and Brews on December 12th, I think.
Oh.
That was a good segue.
Yeah, I did it by accident.
Oh, Rhythm and Brews. Great place. In Cambridge?
In Cambridge.
Yeah.
Yes. In Cambridge with my Portuguese friends. I don't know if it's still Portuguese in Cambridge. It used to always be Portuguese there.
Rhythm and Brews was actually the last gig I did before COVID shut everything down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did it with Sam Lasco.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
The Caveman.
The Caveman. What was that like?
Different. That was
Those kind of shows are always weird, eh?
Yeah. Because it's all a lot of it's like a staged format.
Yeah.
You know, you're used to they got a bunch of stand-ups, so you're used to watching a stand-up, and then they come up and it's a staged format show, almost like a game show or a TV show.
Yeah, it's not stand-up anymore.
No.
And sometimes it's not anything. Like I know the Jackass guys came around, and there was the same thing. There's like a bunch of good stand-ups, and then the Jackass guys came out wasted and did a bunch of gibberish that no one understood, and then it was over. Yeah. And a lot of times it's like that. I did the wrestling ones. Like I did Jake the Snake Roberts.
Okay.
And, that's a picture that he signed for me in the gig. When I got there, I introduced myself to him, and he goes, hey, pick a picture, and I'll sign one for you. So I picked this one, and he goes, he writes, thanks for the great opening. And I go, I didn't go up yet. He goes, you better not suck.
That's great. Now, did he charge you $20 so we could get some crack?
No, he was clean at the time. We talked about in the smoking area. Wow. He was taking this pill that was keeping him off the booze, and as long as he stayed off the booze, then all the rest of it was okay. What?
Antiboost.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah,
that's the pill.
Makes you feel like shit.
Oh yeah. I went through rehab when I was a young guy.
Right.
And it was actually, it was either 6 months in jail or 30 days in rehab.
Yeah.
So I went for the rehab, and they put me on the Antiboost. Yeah, and I didn't believe it until I drank.
And then just barf?
Oh, hot flashes. You're sick. You're ill. It's terrible. It's just the worst. The worst. Oh.
I know a guy, he got hypnotized so he wouldn't smoke cigarettes anymore.
Right.
And then I was smoking a cigarette, and he's like, God, that looks good, eh? He says, give me one of those, eh? And I give him one, and he's smoking it, and then he's like totally greened out from the cigarette because of the hypnotism.
I thought you were going to say he started barking or something like that.
No, he was like.
See, that would have been better.
That would have been a punchline. God damn it! What's my problem, Kevin?
Sorry,
damn it. Yeah.
You gotta bring it on the road with me, and then you can coach me.
He had a cigarette and started clucking like a chicken.
Yeah, masturbating.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. What I did was tell the truth, and it was boring.
Well, what's the rest of the story though? He got sick.
Yeah, he was barfing against the fence for most of the night. Well, me and his wife and my wife had a great night.
You laughed at him.
And we were like, every once in a while, we peek out and say, is he still doing that? He's like, yeah. That's best. And his wife's like, best to leave him out there. It's snowing now. And he's just like against the fence barfing.
The snow feels so good.
Yeah. He eventually got a hold of himself, came in, but he's like, never give me a cigarette again.
No problem.
And I'm like, no problem. Yeah. I don't think he's done it since. Anyway, he's a good guy. Normally we would do an impression of that, and I can do an impression of him. Because he's my neighbor. It's my favorite guy to do an impression of, and now I've done the impression so much, I don't even know if it sounds like him anymore. It's just my...
Right.
It's kind of like an impression of an impression, like a bunch... It's not... I don't even think of him anymore.
Right.
I just think of the impression, you know?
Now, here's the thing. It doesn't matter whether you've hit it anymore, because... Who knows your neighbor? Right?
Yeah.
Right? You could do that. You could do that anywhere and say, "No, that's my neighbor." If you knew him, it sounds just like him.
Yeah, it's great. That's what I mean. Like my buddy Adrian, he would do these impressions of local guys from Waterford,
right?
And I would be cracking up, and then my one roommate's from Ottawa. The other two guys are from Waterford, you know, and we're all cracking up. And then the other guy from Ottawa is like, I don't know these people. I'm like, yeah, but isn't it still a funny impression? Like, listen,
it's just like the guy.
But even if you didn't know this guy, if you take our word for it, there's a guy who walks around like this. That's hilarious, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and the shit he was saying too. It's not just about impression, right? Like, because you can sound like Tyler Shazma, for example, easy comic to impersonate. You know, every comic's got a Shazma, and then you could be. Do guys that have an impersonation of you? Have you ever heard anyone do an impersonation of you?
No.
I bet you could. You're like the future version of Jason Allen, kind of, eh?
Oh, really? Yeah,
Like-
the old version of Jason Allen. Yeah.
You're like his like, are you possibly his dad?
Well, that has been brought up at a show before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no.
I've never seen you two together, to be honest.
No, we did a show together. Oh God,
It's like a Christmas story.
3
Goes to
years ago,
Christmas
4
past.
years ago in Paris. We
Oh,
did
yeah?
a show. Yeah. I think Gators or something is the name of the place, or the Bayou.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, the
I
Grand Bayou or something like that. Yeah.
I started in line with Jason, and so yeah, there is like similarities for sure. Talking to you, even that it's like, man, you guys do resemble each other. It's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't think I was ever, anybody would ever do an impression of me.
Yeah, but I don't. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do you have
I think it's a bad thing.
Because in one way, you have a well-defined stage persona that people can do an impression of, like that people can like get their head around,
Right.
versus being like Kevin.
Fucking nobody.
Fucking nobody.
I can't even get a fucking nickname, man.
No. Well, it's like, and really, even with the hard K, can you hear the MC now? And next to the stage, Kevin.
Just suck the air right out of the room.
It's Kevin.
Kev comes out and says a bunch of real sensible things.
Yeah. Come on. Gives you great tips on how to check the air in your tires.
Just paying my bills today.
Thank you.
Early.
Oh, yeah.
RSP's looking good.
Yeah. Put that gas line antifreeze in my car today.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thinking ahead. Checking the temperature.
Yeah, change the oil.
Change the
Did it
I
feel like
feel
Pete's
like-
having a fucking cramp or something.
No, it's not cramp this time. I feel like someone beat the shit out of me in my ribs.
Wow.
It really hurts.
You need mustard.
I do not need mustard.
And tinfoil.
Tinfoil?
You wrap it with mustard into it. You put the mustard on and wrap it in tinfoil.
You know what? I might fucking do this because the one time I was having a huge leg cramp and I in the middle of the show and Kevin goes yellow mustard and I yelled at my wife to get yellow mustard and she brought it in and I shoved it in my throat and it fucking went away.
Wow.
For reals. But put it on with tinfoil sounds a bit like a crock of shit.
Sounds like it'd be fun to watch you do.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
convinced me.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I got at least
That's what cooks do for burns.
Oh.
really.
Yeah, you get a burn on your finger, you put a little mustard on it, wrap it in tinfoil, and back to cooking you go.
I thought you put sliced onions on your balls.
Well, you do, but that's for a different reason.
What's sliced onions on your balls for?
Yeah. I don't know. Cures a cramp.
It sure would make
Actually,
it.
it makes you not cry when you're cutting onions.
Because you're wondering about the onions on your balls, mostly.
I suppose it's going to make your balls just smell more like balls.
Well,
That enhanced ball smell.
it makes your balls smell like onions rather than balls.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I always thought my balls did smell like a bag of onions, though. Like, if I had to pick a smell, I would go bag of onions.
You're like, no.
Okay, now
This is actual onion, not my balls.
like once you catch a good whiff of your balls, like what? Are you walking around and sniffing different things for comparison?
Oh, yeah. No, I have bad hygiene, man. I just, don't take care of myself for long periods of time. I've lived with chronic depression for a while. Oh, I feel better now. I'm happy to say I feel better.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
You had a good funk for a bit there.
Oh, like 6 or 7 years.
No, I mean like
yeah.
you had a good funky smell.
Oh yeah, if not, So sometimes when you're not feeling up to living and stuff, your balls get stinky. Yeah.
Okay, that's the first sign.
You start to say, "Where is that? Did I just buy a crate of onions?" And you're like, "No,
That man needs help.
no." I'm like, I should consider getting up off of this, couch and giving my balls a wash here.
Yeah.
That's mostly it. Or the sometimes I will get feedback. You son of a bitch! We're running the program.
Boring failure.
Oh God, I feel so bad. Do you remember when you started this season? You had no confidence. You wouldn't even give yourself a clap.
That's right.
And now you feel better about
Now I
yourself.
have the clap.
Yeah, have the clap.
Yeah, before I'd feel bad about making fun of him like this because his confidence was so minuscule. He would just give himself a little applause at the beginning, And I was like, Kevin, I had to keep boosting him up, you know. But now I think I got him high enough on himself.
Knocking me down.
I can knock you down today. But I haven't. I don't want to take it too far, Kev. We have a long and storied friendship.
That's true. We were the original podcasters. We've talked about it a lot, but
Oh, really?
Yeah. You want to hear?
What makes you the original podcasters?
tape recorder in my bedroom.
I do not believe.
Oh,
I don't remember tape recorder in the bedroom.
so like, were you doing like mixtapes? Was that?
No, we're doing late night talk show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We were 10 years old. I get off his bus off the bus at his house every Thursday to go to Cubs. First Bobby Wild Cubs, Boston,
Bobby
Bealton, Wilsonville, Dunder.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I didn't live anywhere close to that, but I knew all my friends were in that Cub group, and the other Cub group I heard about were a bunch of pussies, you know?
Oh.
So I was like, my buddies are all in this one. So my mom, I got off the bus at Kevin's place. And where were we going with this? Oh, and then one time he's got a barn, and on the top story of his barn, we kind of cleaned it up. We had like a
studio,
like a,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
like a couch and a desk type of thing. And then yeah, and we would like do shows kind of, but no recording devices, no internet, no anything, just like
just for the love of the craft.
Just now,
never knowing it would pay off to this day.
okay, so like, you used like a tape recorder, like you weren't doing video. Were you shooting video on any of these?
Oh no.
No, that was well before.
Now, do you
video.
have any of the tapes around still?
No, my sister unfortunately found a bunch that we were cursing on and
Oh,
burned
yeah.
them.
Oh,
We were our
Burned
show.
them?
Our
Well,
show.
first told on us and then burned them.
Our show was a little blue.
oh,
For
because
10.
you were 10.
We used F words
Oh no,
frequently.
oh no.
Yeah, Kevin had an old dad, so I could get away with a lot more shit.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
He was tired.
yeah. I remember we going to Kev's place, and he played me the Violent Femmes, "Added Up." That song "Added Up" by the Violent Femmes.
Right.
And I'd never heard any music like that before, and it said "fuck" in it, and I was like, "Holy shit!
He was like, "Holy."
Why can't I get just one fuck? Are you kidding me?" I thought it was the greatest thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Do you remember Jane County in the Electric Chairs?
No,
Jane County in the Electric Chairs.
I gotta check him out.
It was Wayne County in the Electric Chairs. Actually, Wayne County, Jane County was probably one of the first transsexual rock stars out there who actually went through a change in the middle of their career.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it started out as Wayne County in the Electric Chairs and became Jane County in the Electric Chairs.
Oh, cool.
Right? And their, and their number one song was "If You Don't Want to Fuck Me, Baby, Baby, Fuck Off." Right?
That's the best.
I don't know what that was about.
And that was the whole song. I'm pretty sure that was the whole song. And there wasn't much depth to it. No, it wasn't like it was a long tale of long lost love and rekindling romance. No, it was pretty much, if you don't want to fuck me, get the fuck out.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's pretty much like current rap songs.
Yeah.
It's like if you got a juicy ass, then you give me expensive liquor at some sort of a nightclub,
Wear some jewelry.
and you wear expensive jewelry, and then behave like a hoe.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And this is all.
Yeah.
That's the general story arc we're going with.
A lot of backing gigantic asses up.
Yeah.
Well,
not exactly
now that music has transformed to reality now.
Yeah.
Because now big butts is where it's at.
Oh, I love them too.
I'm not a big,
Kim
I'm not-
Kardashian, like the big round badonkadonk.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I'm going to say, and no offense to women that are listening to this show with a nice, juicy set of tits, but I want to just say something. You know what? I could give a fuck about your tits.
Well,
I'll tell you that right now.
I would
It's
ask that
nice.
too.
It's a nice, whatever. I don't care about it. But if you got one of those non-existent asses, like, I'm just sorry.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
don't have time for it.
There's the odd gem out there that's got a nice set of boobies and a beautiful bum bum.
I'll tell you right now, if Jane left me tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
I would go black.
Yeah. Well, hey, you heard it here first.
I don't know if you're.
You heard it here
I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore.
I'm not sure. No.
If you're allowed to pick a race, that's supposed to be racist. But I'm like, you know what? I would go through all the races, to be quite honest with you. I would. Hey, you were up in Northwest or Iqaluit or something.
Yeah.
What does Eskimo pussy look like? Have you ever seen it?
It looks the same as any other pussy.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
I've never met
the same as any other pussy.
I've never met an Inuit person before in my life. That's true.
No.
But it's not saying much. I grew up around here in Norfolk County, and I didn't meet a Jewish person until I was 20.
Wow.
And then I did.
See, I lived in a house with where I was the only white guy, and it was all Inuit workers.
Yeah. What age?
16.
At 16, yeah.
At 16, yeah.
Yeah, I worked on a crew with all Jamaican guys
Right.
when I was 14. It was kind of like same sort of thing where you're immersed, and,
Right.
and you're the one guy that does it.
Yeah, you're absolutely immersed.
Yeah.
And it's different, and it's great.
I like it too, man.
You got it's the only way you learn.
Yeah, I like it. I've been in situations where I've been caught as being the one white guy, and usually I go in with a guide of some sort. Like I'm not stupid, but sometimes it's a guide I just met at the previous bar I was at. So I don't know how good my guide is, you know.
Hey, it's a guide though.
It's a guy. At least it's a local, you know. That I'm like, this guy seems all right. But I've been lucky. But every time I do that, to me, it's like the best. It's always eye opening for me, you know. Like it's always like I get to be introduced to another world or another way in the world that I've never seen before.
Right.
And then it's not the same as when you're like the one time I was planting trees up in Massey, right?
Right.
And then we were out drinking at this one bar, and we're doing karaoke or something. And then these native ladies come up, and they're like, "Hey, you want to? What are we doing here? This place sucks, you know. Like, come with us. There's a party going on at this other place." So we go to this other place, and it's like a big hall, and it's like $1 or something for a native, one of the natives or whatever. So the place is like everyone's grandparents and aunts and uncles.
Right.
Anyways, it was an awesome party. It was great.
Yeah.
And so we had a really good time with everybody. And then they say, "Oh, you want to come back to the reserve? There's an after hours party there." And so we get this guy Rudy, to drive us out. And we go out to this, we're deep on the reserve now. And then we get to this house, and the girls get out, and then there's no party. And they're like making moves on us, right?
Uh-oh.
And they're giant women. Like they're giant women, eh? Nothing against giant women. Like you should have love and everything, but not
yours.
But yeah, I wasn't interested in it. So then, so I'm like trying to avoid it. So she's like making it hard for me to avoid. No.
Oh.
So then I go.
Now you're sending mixed messages. No wonder she's still pursuing you.
Yeah. Anyway, she goes to she says, "What, are you gay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm gay." I said, "Yeah, I'm gay." And then she goes, she didn't believe me. And then, but then she kind of leaves me alone. I'm hiding from her. And then we get in, then they finally give up on us, and then they take us to the party. There was a party, but they took us to fuck first, I guess. But we didn't fuck. The one guy did fuck one of the girls at the next place. Truth be told, but I didn't do it.
Wow,
So we go to this place anyways, and it's like a nightmare, though. They take us for a tour of the house. We go through the one kitchen, and there's a guy in a wheelchair who's like passed out with his head in the sink. And they go, that's so-and-so. He got in an accident. His insurance paid for the whole house, even the pool table. Right? That's what they tell us. Then we go down to play pool, and there's two other guys down there who are like shady characters. Mm-hmm. And my buddy Todd started talking to them, and I thought he was having a good time with them the whole night. And I'm avoiding this heavyset girl. The other guy's banging the other one in the bedroom. And I'm just like, I just want to get back to the hotel or the motel. And then it's forever. I'm like, Todd, finally I go, Todd, I'm sorry to interrupt your conversation. And then he looks at me. He's just white. His just face is like pale white. And I go, "Can we get out of here?" And then the guy's shaking his hand, right? This one native guy's shaking his hand, and he goes, "This guy thinks he's safe because he's shaking my right hand, but I'll stab him with my left." You know, like he's saying stuff like that, and he had just been like threatening Todd's life the whole time. So anyways, we got out of there, and luckily I had another contract up in Blind River, so I left, and another group of guys that I knew from university stayed in Massey and planted more trees there. Anyways, I was gone up, planted trees for another 6-8 weeks, and then this crew from Massey comes and helps us at the very end of our contract, and they go, "What the hell did you do in Massey, Pete?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "One day we're at the motel, and the whole fucking tribe shows up to kick some tree planter named Pete's ass because the girl who I told I was gay to apparently left her boyfriend for the tree planter named Pete, and this guy and all his buddies went to come kick my ass." And I'm like, "Holy shit, man! I didn't even like remotely want any piece of that guy's girlfriend. She's horrible." But I do understand her leaving him for me. You know, like catch, right?
That's totally understandable. Just
I'm a Massey 9.
I think you're a Massey 11 because you said you were gay and you still caused a breakup.
Yeah, so I'm glad they moved me to Blind River though. Otherwise, I would probably be dead.
Couldn't she tell by the way you were dressed?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I find it easy to turn down horrible pussy.
Yeah.
Oh, Craig, that was funny. Kevin, I want to talk. Me and Craig did a show on Friday, and then there's these girls after the show.
Oh my gosh!
And it was a great show. Craig, I knew Craig was going on right before me, and so I'm like, oh man, I got to think about this because you're hard to follow because you have a lot of energy, right? Like, so I would really want to make sure I could work after you, right? But I like that. I like the fact that they put you on before because I'm like, oh, that means I'm going to have to work a bit. I'm going to have to come with my A game and makes the show better. So then, anyways, where's it going with this? Craig, after the show, there's these girls lined up to talk to Craig, and I'm like, oh, he had a good set. I bet you they're just going to do the typical, hey, I really liked you the best,
Yeah,
and so I get out of the way. Like I'm gonna try to I don't want to make it awkward for them because they're gonna feel bad if they're like, oh yeah,
but
you
let's
too.
talk about the girls, right?
Yeah.
So there's 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and the 3 of them are like late 20s.
I would put them in their 30s.
Early 30s, right?
Yeah.
Late 20s, early 30s.
Right.
And they're like, and smiling. So they come over to talk to me. And they start asking, because I do bits about being single.
Right.
And online dating and stuff. So they said, so are you like really single? And I'm looking at them and already in my head.
Oh, that's mean.
I know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And I going, oh yeah. Right. And I go, exactly. And I said, well, listen, my mom.
Oh.
and her other cousin and my aunt, my mom, is it 2 of them? No, they're the same person, right?
Yeah.
We think she'd be perfect for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then they show the Facebook picture of their mom.
Yeah.
Right to Craig.
Yeah.
And then he's got to like react to it.
Yeah. So I've got to. I have to critique the picture. It's not like I'm going to go, oh!
Craig's got to put on a nice face and make himself unmarketable as fast as he can.
You know the scariest part?
She's not
the
hairy.
bar owner.
Oh, yeah?
It's his sister.
Oh, my gosh.
It's his sister.
You want to go there again?
That was the uncle.
Hey, he can start booking that show.
That was the uncle. Hey, there we go. I can hop on the show. That's it. I'm going to take over a show in St. Thomas. That's what I want to do.
Whoa.
Yeah. Between the mess and the elephant, I don't know.
I got to tell you, man.
The mess is the elephant in the room.
Yeah. No one mentions the mental institution there. That's why my parents told me they'd send me when I was a kid. They said they'd send me to St. Thomas.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's one in London, too, the Highbury Hilton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Highbury?
Highbury Hilton.
Highbury Hilton.
And did your parents
St. Thomas? Are you joking? Of course.
Yeah.
Now, the one in St. Thomas is closed now, right?
Yeah.
It had tunnels, too.
Here we go back to the irony with the movie trivia.
Yeah.
So the one in St. Thomas was going to be used, and I think is being used, for the Jason Momoa series, C.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Parts of it is being used as one of the towns.
Oh, yeah, I knew that he was supposed to be doing that, like, right around the time the pandemic started.
Yeah, because most of the stuff they're doing is in winter. It's a winter scene.
Oh, yeah.
So they were supposed to be filming in, like, February and March, and boom, it got shut down. It was supposed to start when COVID shut everything down.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like trying to get him on the podcast, to be honest with you, because I was like, it's St. Thomas. I'm like, oh, so I was going through his whatever chain of people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking. I had 0% chance.
I was trying to get him to get them to book him into staying down in Port Dover at the Clonmel Castle where I work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I figure, hey, it's good. It's a nice, fancy place. It's boutique. It's big.
Oh yeah.
It's luxury.
Yeah, well, it can't hurt, man. I was just doing it so I could smell his fingers, man. I was a big Cosby Show fan.
Oh, Bonet.
Lisa Bonet. Yeah.
Lisa Bonet.
Yeah, she looking good.
Yeah. Isn't she with Kravitz too?
Yeah, then they have that. Her kid looks just like her too. And she's an actress.
Yeah,
Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
They had a kid, and then they got divorced, and then now she's with Aquaman.
Momoa.
That's if I'm right, because I might not be, because I don't follow that stuff, but I hear something.
You seem to have followed her a bit.
Well, I do like Lisa Bonet.
Yeah.
I do like. There was a movie. There was a movie that she did where you could see her boobs when I was fairly young, and it was and she was still part of the Cosby Show. And she left to do a movie where she showed her boobs.
All right. That got her in big trouble with the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic?
Bill Cosby didn't like people showing their boobs publicly. They didn't want kids becoming an adult.
No.
He said, you just be quiet and drink your fucking drink.
Have your drink. If you're going to show your boobs, you can't be conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have some Quaaludes.
Exactly. You show them to strangers publicly who drugged you.
It was so the irony of the whole thing was the fact that one of Bill Cosby's biggest bits was Spanish Fly.
Yeah, right?
Right? He did that whole big bit. It was on his album. And, it was one of his biggest bits was Spanish Fly.
Well,
yeah.
And you know why it was so funny? Because it was truth.
Yeah, I think that's where the justification comes from.
Yeah. Right?
Is that because you listen to that bit and you listen to the way that it could be justified, and then you start to realize, that the 70s people didn't look at things the same way. Everything was newer and it's effed up, but it's true.
Well, you got to the 70s. People talk about the way people look at things now, right? And people just got to realize, all of us pretty much learn about other people in the rest of the world from media, right? Yeah. And right now, media is in their hands, right? No matter what you say, Facebook, YouTube, it's all media. And so, you got the people who are super woke now. And why? Because they're going through their phone and they read everything, but they know more. They have all the information at their fingertips now.
Yeah.
I grew up as a product of the 70s.
Yeah.
Right? I was born, 62. So the 60s and 70s, growing up, small town Canada, right? Small town Canada, which would have been small white town Canada.
Yeah.
Right? And the only thing that I knew about other people and other cultures was what I saw on TV.
Sure.
Yeah.
That was it.
Beachcombers, baby.
That was it. If we were, you know what? Because they didn't teach us, about different stuff like that. So, let's face it. Back in the 70s, every black person was like Huggy Bear, right?
Yeah, or JJ.
Or JJ.
Yeah.
They were all Kid Dynamite.
Yeah.
Right? Every gay guy was flaming.
Yeah, it was Charles Nelson Riley or Rip
Taylor.
Rip Taylor.
Right? They were just as far out as they could be.
Yeah, Rip Taylor he's throwing confetti.
Yeah, right. That's his whole bit.
Yeah.
What's his punchline? Throw confetti. I got no joke. Here's
yeah,
some confetti.
throw confetti. Yeah,
have some more confetti. But that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And that's how we learned. And then it's it's not until you get out and get with people that you start to go, oh, okay, well, that's all bullshit.
Yeah,
it's all bullshit.
Yeah, I was starting my kids say to me all the time, they're talking about my white privilege.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know if I have white privilege. I think you guys have white privilege, but I don't think I had it. Because I get what she goes, they say, and then they start rhyming off shit, I'm like, they go sorry, you're white, you wouldn't be scared if you saw, or you wouldn't be worried if you saw police come down your driveway or something. That was one of their things they said to me.
Oh, I would.
And then I'm like, are you kidding me? I grew up on a farm. Farmers are doing at least 18, 20 illegal things at any given time. They don't even know. It's just because they don't know, because they don't ever ask what the rules are. They just do whatever they want.
Right.
Right. And that is not a person that wants to see the cops come down their driveway. You know.
Right.
And I never have been around anyone that'd be happy about that.
But I think what the difference is the white privilege, because I used to think the same thing. Going, how is that? It's like I'm a broke ass motherfucker. How do I have white privilege? But the reality is that I do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if I go in, say for a job interview.
Yeah.
And somebody's going in who's a person of color, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to be judging me on my whiteness. But they might be thinking, because of an internal bias, differently about the person of color that they're hiring.
Maybe,
right?
But they could also be. They could have
why the world is opening up.
Right.
But growing up, you growing up in a farm community, me growing up in small town Canada that's all white.
I disagree. It wasn't all white.
It makes it, well, for me it was.
It wasn't for me though.
But I swear, for me it really was. Where I grew up in New Brunswick, I can't remember seeing a single black person where I lived in New Brunswick. In Riverview at the time, I cannot remember a single black person.
That's really?
Yeah, not a single one.
They're all in Nova Scotia?
They were all Acadian French or just East Coasters.
Yeah.
Right? So therefore, everything that you saw was on television.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't until I had met people. So, getting to back to the white privilege. So in that situation, when you start to think about white privilege, it's like, well, you don't get it, because in that dynamic, there's just the poor white trash and the non-white trash. They're white, but they're just not trash. Right? They got the money.
Yeah, it's about money. Yeah.
It was all about class.
Yeah, it's
right?
about class. Yeah.
It was all about class. But when you come in to the cities, and now that because of multiculturalism, and we're not living in the tiny white towns, the integration has all happened everywhere. You start to have to learn, and that's where you start to see where white privilege comes in, because before, it was just a class thing. So that's why it's kind of hard to wrap the head around white privilege. But then when you're running into the different cultures, and you can see the struggles, because you'll hear it. Look, I heard it here with the farmers, right? And, the farmers who talk about how much they love their migrant workers. If they couldn't do this without the migrant workers. And this was the words exactly. I heard two of them in the store picking up beer and talking. And the one was going on about, geez, the workers. He says, I got the wrong workers. They sent me the wrong workers. I had Mexicans last year, and they were so much better. They sent me the Jamaicans. And the Jamaicans don't know it. You'd think Jamaicans would know something about watermelons. I couldn't believe this guy was saying this.
Yeah.
Right? And he's talking about the in such a derogatory manner.
Listen, dude, I gotta tell you that's a sore spot for me, because like we had migrant workers my whole life,
right?
And they lived in my house. They had Thanksgiving dinner with us. Yeah. My mom baked them a cake on their birthdays and gave them a cake and a case of beer. They were every bit a part of our family.
Right.
They got treated better than me and my brothers and sisters did. Yeah. That's for fucking sure. And like seriously, like we cared for them like they were family, you know, like and like when I hear about mistreatment like that or like disrespect like that, that is not a reflection of most farmers. And also, I know guys like we had them on my show, Jamaican guys who've been working here for a long time,
right?
And it's nice because when we go to Jamaica, he'll take us around,
right?
And then he's been up here and he's like worked for so many years that he's like he's like built his skill set up, and he's become a bigger part of his operation. And a lot of these guys end up, like they make a good living for themselves and become integral parts of these operations because they work like decades for these guys, yeah. Right? And guys like that are like making jokes like that, even, or like trying to belittle. And I used to lend money to farmers, so like I heard guys say all kinds of racist bullshit and stuff like that. And every time it's like, you guys are the reason why people think that this is some sort of a slave trade that's going on here,
right?
Rather than that this is us not being able to find people to fulfill these roles, and we go to these countries where there are people that are willing to fill these roles, and they're good at it. And,
now here's a question.
And we respect them too.
But here's a question that I have had about that, because I keep hearing the same thing. You can't find the people to fill the roles here. And then I ask, well, what's the pay? Because the reality is, right, if you got people who are working for $14.50 an hour, right, and like I understand the buying power back in their country, which no matter how you look at it, some people say it's great for them because of what they can do back there, but it's hard to get away from the word exploitation, because it's their poverty in their homeland that's forcing them to come all the way here. You end up paying them more than you pay a local,
right?
And
employee.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I keep hearing that. So I'm saying, okay, so
you pay, because you have lodging, you
do the
travel
lodging,
both ways.
You do the lodging, you do the travel. Now you
do health insurance.
You do health, and you got to do some paperwork. Obviously, you have to probably take care of all the paperwork and
health and safety.
There's a lot involved.
Yeah.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
So if
way more than hiring a local person.
Right. So if you broke it down, right, to the costs involved with everything broken down, what would the hourly pay work out to? Would it be like $21, $22 an hour?
What's minimum wage at now?
It's at right now. It's at
15 or something.
No, $14.35, and Dougie has promised to go to 15 because he rolled it back and said no 3 years ago when he took away sick days, and because it was supposed to go to 15 an hour 3 years ago, and he killed that. And then after the pandemic and everybody with the pandemic, and we were calling all the minimum wage workers heroes. Yeah. Then he said, "Oh, we're going to give him a raise," and he gave him a raise of 25 cents.
Yeah.
And then he went and said, "Oh no, we're going to give him another raise," and he gave him a raise of 10 cents an hour. So that being such an insult, now he's going back to 15.
Yeah, my wife's in the same boat with optometrists.
But back to the thing.
Yeah.
So would it cost $22 an hour?
I doubt it. Probably is somewhere in the neighborhood of like 16 or 17.
Like all out the end, right?
Well, I don't know, Eve. It depends because like guys do a whole bunch of things to try to minimize their costs. Like if you're growing a crop and you're wrapping up with your guys in October, and then you know that there's a guy doing cold crops or horseradish or something like that, you can the guys can go there, work a few more months, and then that guy pays the flight home,
right?
And then so you can kind of
split your cost. Split the cost up.
Yeah, but generally they let you pay them. That used to be, and I'm out of the game for a long time.
Right.
So it used to be, and I don't know if they still allow this anymore, but it used to be you could pay them slightly less than minimum wage on an hourly basis, and because you're giving them lodging and health insurance and all the rest of it. But it ended up, it ends up being, I don't know how you can,
because basically it was a Canadian citizen. They wouldn't have to pay for lodging, because the person would have his own lodging.
Home,
right? They wouldn't have to pay for health insurance because the person's already covered.
Yeah.
Under OHIP, right?
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have to deal with the flights back and forth, right? They wouldn't have to deal with all the paperwork, immigration, and all that, right? So that's why because I had asked a few
people, locals more.
Right, that's why I had heard a few people telling me that it averaged $20 to $21 an hour. That they once they worked it out, that even though the cash paycheck might be for $14.56 an hour, the actual cost, they said the actual cost was $20 to $21 an hour.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if you were paying locals the $21 an hour, could you not build a local labor force?
No.
Okay, now here comes the second part of that. In the 70s and early 80s, I remember, right, going, I had all kinds of friends who would go and they would work the farms.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Right? And the reason is because they also got, if they put in enough weight, if they worked a full season in the summer, they could have the winter off with unemployment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Mulrooney killed that. And we've been trying to get it back so it's been more than 20 years, 25 years. They've killed that.
That makes sense.
Right?
Because
so now you don't have the guys who are willing to give up their summer and work their 70 hours. Plus, the other thing that they killed was overtime wages for seasonal. Right. Okay, because they killed the seasonal work provisions by extending the weeks, so that none of the seasons that you would work would actually give you enough weeks to get the winter unemployment. Right. So, and there used to be a few more things like, like obviously if you're working a farm, you're working 6 days, maybe even 7. Right. But if you would reach a certain threshold for the week, they would have to pay you some overtime. Right. On top. Whereas now there isn't. Right.
That makes sense in timing wise. 'Cause I remember when I was a kid, we had a bunkhouse, but it was just local guys that would stay in it, guys from Quebec that would just come down for tobacco harvest. And
because the whole thing was,
you'd literally just go to the park in Delhi, and there'd be guys sleeping on a bench there. You would be like, "How many? I need 6."
Exactly.
And they would come live in your bunkhouse.
And now the thing is that now, I keep hearing, people say, well, they still couldn't get the workers at that rate, but I'm willing to bet that if they did have that rate out there, they will find the workers, because there are some young guys who think, well, you know what, I could work this entire summer and I'm going to get that new freaking Honda, and I'm going to get my Honda in the fall. Well, and all you need is 3 seasons of guys working and coming out with money in their pocket and a car or something nice at the end of the season before their friends start to think, you know what, I could do that for the summer and go to college in the winter.
Well, unfortunately, they won't let you work on a farm until you're 18 because it's dangerous.
There you go.
And so anything that you can do it as long as you don't use equipment. As long as if there's a tractor involved,
or family.
if your family, you might be able to get away with it.
Okay, because the first thing I saw when I first moved out here, when I was driving to the marijuana farm, right, because that's why I moved here, was to grow weed. Right. So when I was driving to the marijuana farm, I went by this one field, and the whole Mennonite family was out in the field. And those kids weren't 18.
No.
Right. So that's
how we all grew up.
Is there an exception there? Is there a family exception?
Yeah, there definitely is. And then add to that nobody gives a fuck when it comes to their kids. I don't think like you're going to change the way generations have done it.
No.
And but I do think it is different. Yeah, if it's your kid versus an employee.
Right.
So then
so if you've got to be 18 to work on a farm, but the reality is, 18 to 21, if they're in that college age range, and if they could work, if they're banging 70 hours a week at, say, $20 an hour, if you're walking out, if you're grossing $1,400 a week, and you're going to get 12 to 16 weeks of work in your summer off for college, right? You don't think you're going to want to bang off a 14 to 18 grand in your pocket?
The problem is you need them till October, November.
Yeah, I think your work ethic from your generation doesn't.
Used to be you could wrap up because the frost would be early September. So the season's over early September.
Right.
And then you could use students and college kids and stuff like that.
Because I remember going apple picking. Right? Hey, it's 5 days work. Yeah, fine. I'll go for 5 days. Pick apples for 5 days, bad.
Yeah, growing up, it was second week of September. You'd get your frost, and then, to make it to October 1st without a frost was like unheard of. And now I think we were in November for our first frost this year. Like it's crazy, and that's in my lifetime, like in the 50 years, and. Yeah, it was great. It was actually then that worked, but now you need them till like end of October, and then who can you get? Like then you really need a person that's finished school that you can kind of give like full time.
Which is more
than full time.
If we had the EI,
you have to. Yeah, you have to, and then and I think that these sort of questions are going to become more. You're going to be able to solve those things more because like. As you get more automated, then what do you do with these people? Now we have all these people and no job, like no need for them really.
Well, look, they've now got harvesters and everything. You don't even need a driver.
Yeah,
harvesters and the trucks that'll load everything remote. Right? I was watching a thing in Saskatchewan. Yeah. He's got his huge fields, right, and he's sitting on his front porch with a screen in front of him, and the truck and the harvesters are running, and there's nobody in them.
Yeah.
Right.
Right now, I know my one buddy Beaver who does a show here. His tractor's just basically his office when he's doing land work.
Yeah.
Because it's being driven by GPS, and I think he's just like on his phone, like doing it as work. You know. And so it's now that the next step is of course let them just do it themselves.
Right.
It is crazy. But that's the real answer that's going to happen to replace the offshores and stuff like that is going to be automation. And
the automation is going to, because I guess that's where
and even now you see it, the jobs that those offshore guys were getting even when I was young was manual labor jobs, and the jobs they're getting now are more like running machines or running small crews of people but mostly it's because it's handling the automation. So they are getting like, more, I guess, techie jobs. They're not as like classically like just manual labor.
So you get the IT kids now.
Yeah, from Jamaica.
Right? Yeah. The IT kids who couldn't last a day out in the farmer's field but become farmers.
That's the thing. When we had Jamaican guys come work on our farm, they were all walks of life, man. Like they were like, there were some guys that were university kids.
Yeah.
Some guys were like just from really, really humble beginnings in Kingston ghettos and stuff like that, and other guys were like farm kids. Some guys had their own farms at home, and then and we had Mexican guys for for like 12 years after that. And same thing. They send us pictures of their farms that they would improve on every year. And one guy, Salvador, kept having a new baby after every season.
Well, he's been away from his wife for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Every time I see him with a new season, I go, "Hey, Salvador, uno más bambino para ti," you know. And the first few years, he's just like shamefully, yes, scene. I'm like, fuck Salvador, poor bastard. One day his ball swelled up, like it got huge. You know, it happened to my brother one time too. But this guy like finished the day's work with this big swollen nut.
Oh God!
And then we just took him to the hospital, and it was like an infection of some sort. They put him on an IV, and his nut got back to normal. And then he went back to work. That's an anticlimactic story. Back to work, Salvador.
Yeah. Big balls. That's it.
Yeah, my brother was 14, and his one nut swelled up. And then me and my buddy Dave, we had to go visit him in the hospital. So we thought we'd make him a card. This is where like I'm like 17 or something, and so they had this dot matrix printer, you know, the kind with the ribbons on the side, you know, and it was like, and we had to fold it like all up to make a card, and it was just like a scales, and it had one little ball and one huge ball. And then we put, "Hey, Paul, sorry about your balls." Yeah, we gave it to him.
Oh, man. See, I never had my ball swollen up, but I did get poison ivy on them.
Oh, yeah, I had it this year.
Did you?
Yeah, right on my dick.
Oh,
it wasn't on my balls. It was on my shaft.
Oh, it's terrible, isn't it?
Oh, my God. It's awful, man.
Now, how did you get yours?
Do
you know?
Pissing outside here.
Pissing outside. Right?
I got poison ivy everywhere around here, yeah.
I got mine when I was 12 because that was 1974.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And you know what the number one song was that year?
No, I don't.
Oh, yes, they call it The Streak.
Oh, Ray Stevens.
Right? The Streak.
Yeah.
So everybody was streaking. And I went streaking. Right? I went streaking at the cottage, and I tripped over a log and went face first into a patch.
Oh, no way. That's way worse.
Oh, yeah. So I was covered almost from my ankles right up to my armpits, and just, oh, my God. So I'm covered in that pink shit, right? Calamine. And so, you know, and you got so much of it when you're walking, you're just dropping little balls of dry pink shit.
Oh, that's awful.
You spent a long time like rubbing that calamine on your balls.
Yes. Yeah. But mind you,
oatmeal.
I found this. No, I discovered the cure.
What?
The cure, and this is it. I found this years ago because I'm susceptible to it. Polar ice.
What?
Polar ice. No, the blue gel.
Oh, yeah.
That you put on that's cold, not the one that
icy hot.
No, you don't want it getting hot. You want the
polar ice,
right? Because it has witch hazel and has alcohol.
Yeah.
So the cooling stops your itch immediately.
Really?
And the witch hazel dries out the pus, which what prolongs it.
Yeah.
So when you use that stuff and you keep putting it on, it'll dry it out and it'll go away in 3 to 4 days.
Well, I'm definitely going to use that because I didn't like my uncle's suggestion, which was just, he says, scratch it all off and then pour bleach on it.
Soak it in cider.
Bleach.
Yeah. So how long has your uncle hated you?
Yeah, that was a bad idea.
Yeah. Oh God.
It does. I don't know if it worked or not. I don't remember. It was just a lot of bleach burns.
Yeah. A little bit of noise.
Oh, man. I've had some bad poison ivy in my day, and then it seems like other times I get away with it. Like, it can just be all around it. It doesn't bug me. And then other times it just hits me like a sledgehammer, man.
Yeah, see, now I don't fear it as much because I found the cure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it is a cure. Like that blue stuff, it just does it.
Hey, you ever heard of Wim Hof?
Wim Hof?
Wim Hof?
No.
There's this guy, I just found it out. This is going to be the gayest thing I've ever said, I think. But I was watching Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop.
Oh, yes.
But that was my wife was watching it. But then I was like, what the fuck is this? There's this guy, Wim Hof, on it. It's like the Iceman. They call him the Iceman.
Okay.
He goes into like cold ice, and he can withstand like super cold temperatures.
Okay.
And so Wim Hof's, he's all about breathing. He can his theory is that if you breathe in oxygen, like the more air you breathe in, the more alkaline your body becomes.
Okay.
And then you can cure diseases by breathing more.
Oh.
And you can like withstand anything and all this shit, right?
Okay.
So this dude, he's Dutch, right? And they have this study where he lies there and they infect him with E. coli, and he breathes himself healthy, right? Like no shit. And then they do a study where they do it with like 20 people, and 18 of the 20 or something like that. Like not all of them, a couple of them died. No, I don't know. I don't know what happened to those other two, but the vast majority of them, he was able to do these breathing things to breathe themselves healthy.
That's very ironic, because have you seen the Dan Brown TV series?
Who's Dan? No, I don't know.
The Lost Symbol, the guy that does Demons and Dragons.
Oh yeah.
And the Da Vinci Code. So they did a TV series. It just wrapped up, and breathing was a huge part of it. There was a whole thing where a guy could breathe himself healthy, heal bones through breathing.
Yeah, they're saying that they're having scientific studies.
Ironic.
Hey, the guy from the Green Mile.
Hey,
he fixed people up by breathing too.
That's
Did
it.
he?
That's right.
Mr. Miyagi?
Coffee.
He rubbed his hands together.
Yeah, coffee. John Coffey. Yeah. Coffey.
Oh yeah, he's dead for real life though.
Yeah, that's sad.
Didn't do enough breathing.
That was sad.
Not breathing now.
Not breathing now.
No, he's not. Yeah. Anyways, shit. This would be the lull portion, but I think it's the end portion too, isn't it?
Yeah, you're close.
Yeah. So.
Really?
Yeah. But I did want to say we were talking about. Oh, what were we saying, man? It was just. What were we just saying? Do you have any idea?
Breathing.
Yes. Breathing. Well, anyways, I've tried this breathing shit.
Oh, yes.
And it does kind of work, man. It does kind of work.
Does it?
Yeah, you get, actually, if you like getting high, it really does kind of make you high. You gotta like breathe.
He says as I'm looking for a joint.
Yeah, but that's what it really like fills you up with, and you feel kind of like lightheaded and like high. But it also like gets you like you feel like buzzing in your like parts that hurt and stuff like that. Like it really, there's something to it. And stuff you eat too, like the stuff that you put in your body.
So is it kind of like when you're doing the breathing? Is it like you're hyperventilating almost a little bit?
That's what one of the Gracies used to do.
Oh yeah,
jiu-jitsu fighter used to do some breathing and got his stomach moving real funky.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this case, I know in this.
Yeah, I used to be.
It's not hyperventilating.
Rolling I've always been able to roll.
Oh yeah, me too.
Roll from the top. There we go. Yeah. When I had a bigger belly, it just embarrassed the hell out of the kids too.
Yeah, me too.
Because you always got to find those things to do to embarrass your fucking kids.
Yeah.
It keeps them in line. It's like, when they start acting up, say, hey, I'll do it. I'll do it in front of your friends. I'll fucking roll the belly.
Yeah.
Or
I'm coming out to the bus with you tomorrow doing this.
Or the biggest threat would be, like if you were out and you got your buddies, your son or your daughter with you and their friends, you're getting something to eat, but the kids are acting up. I would do don't make me do the Shroud of Turin, right? Which is I'd order something spicy, and once the sweat got rolling, and I'd take the napkin and just stick it to the face and then pull it out there. It's a Shroud of Turin. It'd just be so gross. It's just sweat on a napkin, but it looks like the Shroud of Turin. Follow me for more parenting tips.
Yeah.
Right.
My kids were really young. I'd make them pull my socks off when I got home from work. And that became something they would look forward to. Like it was like their game. They'd run to come pull my socks off. Now they don't return my texts.
No, all those things that you get. Oh, yes, you're helping daddy.
Yeah. They're just happy to do it. They run to the door when you get there. Those are great
so
times.
Excited until they figure it out.
Yeah, and they're like, this son of a bitch is making us treating us like shit.
Yeah.
I used to run downstairs to get my dad beers, and me and my sister would fight on who could get the Labatt Blue with the happy face on it.
Oh, okay.
To give to my dad. Like, but that's like
we didn't have happy face on Dad's beers.
No, that was before that.
Because we had Stubbies. They didn't do any of that happy face marketing then.
Yeah, there were Stubbies that had the happy face on, the Labatt Blue. I remember that. Like just on like one out of every 4 bottle caps in the sections, but they were Stubbies still at that time.
Were they still? Are you sure?
Probably not sure, to be honest. You know how memories go.
Yeah.
I'm probably remembering it wrong.
Yeah.
But I know I did bring up beers for him when it was still Stubbies because it was at a house I lived at in the 70s. So then that would have been Stubby time.
Yeah, it would have been Stubby time. That would have been Stubby time because you remember the first long necks didn't start coming out till John Labatt's special.
Oh, yeah. What year would that have been? Early 80s or something?
Early 80s, 79 or 80. Right? John Labatt special came out in the long neck green bottle.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It was in a green bottle and it was a long neck. And then.
Not John Labatt Classic?
John Labatt Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. It came out John Labatt Classic. And then after that.
Everybody went. Big.
It started going. But I think it might have been. I think Budweiser might have been our first brown long neck.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because that's when Budweiser was starting to make the intrusion, but they hadn't bought into Molson yet. What Molson Coors. That was when Molson was still Molson's and it was good beer.
Between 82 and 86.
And then when
John Labatt's Classic?
It just says...
that's when it stopped being Stubbies?
Yeah, U.S. breweries introduced Canada to the long neck. Different shapes and colors.
Yeah.
Brown still being the standard.
So the U.S. always had long necks, and we had Stubbies, or did they have Stubbies too in the States?
I don't know.
They didn't really have Stubbies, no, because I remember as a kid going to Florida, all right, and the only Stubbies were like Mickey's.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, and you know, Mickey's.
Yeah, wide mouth?
Yeah, wide mouth barrels.
Yeah.
So there was very few beers that were in Stubbies. Mostly it was cans. Everywhere was cans. They just loved the cans.
Yeah, they love cans.
We did, the cans were never a big thing up here until, oh my God.
Those Mickeys.
Until the Americans introduced the tall boy cans and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Those Mickeys will fuck you up, eh?
Yeah.
Because those open, and I've never had a Mickey's night. It hasn't been just a shit show.
Yeah.
And you can get those, they have little puzzles under the bottle cap, eh?
Oh, okay.
Have you ever checked?
No.
We kept trying to solve those puzzles one time. I got so hammered.
Yeah.
And then I got kicked out of the person's house that was hosting the party.
Because the problem with it is because of that wide mouth, you just...
That's what it is. They go down gone. So easy.
It's gone.
Shotgun.
Oh, and you feel like shit the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're dangerous, is what I say. They should come with a big warning label on those Mickeys. They're you have such a good time, but then you pay dearly for it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say that that we are not doing feedback. Come on, Kev. We're not doing feedback. Come on, Kev.
That's the right click. I don't know why.
This week because we don't need to.
No.
And I want to tell you, the message received, you don't like death. I get it, And there's a couple joke books. There's a couple joke book ones in there. Hopefully we'll get you back. We just gave you Craig. Come on. Just give us an email at livefromthedutchhall@gmail.com and support our Patreon, which is patreon.com/dutchhall. And the sponsors, support our sponsors, go to our website and click on our Amazon link, all that stuff. But really, if you like to, reach out to us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, fucking Quora, Smoke Signal, whatever you can do. And we will tell us what you think we should do better on the show. And you can follow us now on 2 different live streams on Facebook and YouTube. So you can also comment on those live and subscribe to those pages, and you will get updates when we do go live. And look at my website, Pete Van Dyke Comedian, for upcoming dates. So that is it for feedback. We got feedback. There you go, Kev. You nailed it that time. Mm-hmm. And we have been past an hour, Craig.
Oh, we're past an hour. Wow. Well, yeah.
That was fast.
That went fast.
It went fast, right?
It went really fast.
And since it's not that far away, we're going to have you back sometime.
Yeah. So that'd be great. Yeah.
So your cherries popped. Do you have any reviews on what it feel like to do a podcast? You feel?
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Being a boomer. This is all new stuff to boomers.
Oh yeah, but you're so hated. Even to admit you're a boomer is like
I'm brave as fuck. I'm trying to break the boomer ceiling, right? Because I'm trying to educate the youngins as to the problem with being a boomer. Like you got to figure, we've grown up for years learning one way. Now we got to then we have to relearn everything. And what they don't understand is like we grew up in the 70s. And we're influenced by television, 70s and 80s. Then we went through 90s. The 90s was a new age a new age of information. And then we hit the 2010 with the iPhone and that. So, and the boomers, we just have to keep growing all the way along. So there's some boomers that got rich and they're the assholes, but then there's the rest of us who are trying to figure it out as we go. So it's like if we fuck up along the way, as long as we're trying, people should give us a break.
Yeah, that's true. Perspective's a big thing,
right? Because if at least if we're trying, it's like the thing with the whole thing with transsexualism, right? The whole argument, boomers trying to figure it out, and a lot of them still arguing. I don't argue the whole idea of if it's choice or natural because it's natural, and I can prove it with two things, right? One, I never known a woman who would ever give up winning an argument for the rest of her life, right? And two, I've never known a man who would decide he's going to get paid 70% of his living wage for the rest of his life, right? So if a guy's going to transition to a woman, he's going to will it. That's not a choice, right? And the same with a woman. A woman never chooses to lose an argument for the rest of her life.
No, man.
Right?
No,
and if that's what makes me decide that it's natural, then fine. That's what makes it natural.
Yeah, I find it easy to go with the philosophy of I don't give a fuck, and I've met.
I go with the philosophy of just don't be an asshole.
Yeah, like was it
simple?
Martin Luther King said we should strive for a day when people are judged by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin or their whatever else. It's like content of character is like should be what you're judged on, but this is where when you say like I think that white privilege is a thing, but I think that there's also a period of time where it becomes like we become so vilified that we're now like poison just because we're white, because we're paying for the sins of our ancestors or whatever, and not. Yeah. And I'm like, I get that there was wrongs being done, but like I don't see where. Like I don't know if it's being directed healthily at the ones that are remaining today that have nothing to do with it.
I guess what it comes down to,
I want to be pink anyway.
I think sometimes the check your privilege thing might get tossed too easily, right? But at the same time, if somebody says to you, check your privilege, maybe you should take a minute just to think. Am I speaking from a point of an internal bias that has a privilege?
Yeah.
Right? Like, because for the most part, we carry on, and we rarely stop to think about some things. Yes. And there's nothing wrong with being introspective, and sometimes when somebody says check your privilege, it just kind of reminding you to be a little introspective.
Yeah, I've done that wrong. I gotta admit, Craig. Every time someone has said check my privilege to me, I've just said fuck off.
Right.
Yeah, and
I've done it too. In the beginning, I used to say it too. It's like fuck off. What are you talking about? But then once I stepped back and took a second, then it's like okay.
It's like saying synergy.
I can understand.
It's like saying synergy. It's just a buzzword. It's like a thing. you're constructed something that you think is happening, and now you're telling me that but you're right. I mean, there is a basis where it comes from, and then and that is and my perspective is limited to, like everyone's, to what I've seen.
Exactly.
But I can't. But at the same token, if you're looking at me because I'm white and you're assuming that I've had the same white experience as everybody else, you're wrong.
Well, exactly.
And that's where I don't think I've had the same white. If you're thinking of a young impressionable kid surrounded by Jamaican guys and thinking they're the coolest, you're 14 working with a bunch of guys in their early 20s, who are like banging chicks and like smoking weed, and these guys are the coolest, right? Like, you don't think of if anything, I would have put those guys as on a pedestal rather than thought of them as lesser than or anything like that. You know what I mean?
But that's the position where you were from, and because of how you saw it. But the privilege is that you saw them as that way. But at the same time, it is true that when they go out and they get pulled over by a white police officer, they have a different fear than you would have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I think that's what the whole thing that we get confused about is that we say white privilege, and we sometimes get offended that somebody would say that, but at the same time, we don't see things the same thing, like simple things like if you're in the city hailing a cab.
Yeah.
Right?
But like all that stuff is nothing to I know that's all stuff people have to deal with, but not here. No. Like not where I live, and not where not how I grew up, and not how the people I hang out with. Like not the perspective I look at.
Right.
And like my kids, like you said, they're on like socials and stuff like that, especially during the pandemic. They're on socials so much.
Oh yeah.
And then if you get on the stuff that's saying everybody hates everybody, and everyone's racist, and then white people are bad, and they're doing all this stuff to everyone else, I'm like, that's not the world I live in. Like, I didn't live that way. I didn't.
I think what happened with the pandemic and everybody being on social media and everything, it expanded the horizons. Now, wokeness, there's an extreme, right? But there's extremes in everything. Right? There's extremes in everything. The only thing that I get, that's why I say, my general rule is just don't be an asshole to people.
Yeah.
Right? Because to me, it's like, okay, maybe I'm not as woke as I'm supposed to be on this topic or whatever it is. Right? But at the same time, it just comes back to, not being an asshole to people. Like I find the people who say, oh, because of all this woke culture, you can't say shit anymore. I said, well, what was it you wanted to say that people are trying to say you can't say anymore? Right?
Yeah.
Right. So, sometimes that's a check. And that is also kind of what I find is the laziest part of it. Like, I think there's a spot for a great intellectual argument and discussion about white privilege and all. But I think what the problem with it is just on social media and everything, we have extremes. We have extreme lefts and we have extreme right. We got the extreme right who is screaming up and down that they don't have white privilege. And you got the extreme left that says everything is white privilege.
Yeah, I hate this topic.
Right? So somewhere you got to get into the middle.
Yeah. Right? You know what it is that we got algorithms and bullshit that are listening to us all the time, and all they do is try to give us what we want.
And they keep feeding us
They don't give us perspective. What it should say is like, hey, we noticed that you seem to be watching a lot of left-wing videos. Here's a right-wing counterpoint to what you've been watching. If you'd like to see the other side of the story, and vice versa. Like, there should be. The nice part of when there was 4 TV channels was that everyone had to watch the same 4 TV channels. So if they put balanced stuff out there, you were forced to watch something you didn't want to watch. So you got exposed to things that weren't your cup of tea.
Yes, but you also have to remember that the news reporting at that time, there was the what was it called, the Fairness Doctrine? Anyways, you had to show, like, if you were it used to be in news reporting, if you had an editorial, right, you did have to show both sides. Right? So editorial section in your news broadcast, and it was a left-wing perspective. You had a right-wing rebuttal, right? So you had both perspectives. Then the Fairness Doctrine, news reporting was news reporting.
Yeah, in the news.
Right? It wasn't an opinion-based situation.
You could do an editorial once in a while. They'd skip aside for an editorial, and it would be specifically, this does not reflect the broadcast.
But that was also a time when you got your news at 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right?
You
had an hour of news a day.
Yeah, that's all there was.
And that's all there was. And you wanted to
Still all there is.
And you wanted to get into discussions. You tuned into Question Period or one of those shows. Meet the Press.
In Canada, we have 20 minutes of news, actually. 20 minutes, that's it.
Yeah,
and then a kitten.
But now you got a 24-hour news channels. They got to fill the space. So, it's like you want to find out what's going on in an election. You tune in, you see the scoreboard. Okay, you tune out. But no, they're going to give you 24-hour coverage and 15 different views on the same freaking thing. Yeah. And that's the monotony that's driving it crazy. And that's what's driving the left wing, right wing. Because
in the States,
you got so much bullshit. Yeah. And they talk about it and they overhype it. It's
like football.
And overplay.
Yeah, it's like watching Monday Night Football. So you just got the pregame and all this stuff, but you got to choose your side, and then they only want to hear their side. It's like Homer shit. At
least in Canadian broadcasting, when you turn the news on in Canadian broadcasting, what are you hearing about? You're hearing about a train accident. You're hearing about a car accident. You're hearing some political stuff. You're hearing sports, and you're getting a news broadcast, right? You're hearing more than one story, whereas on network news, it's one story bled to fucking death.
Yeah, that's true, but Canada doesn't even have one story. We have a whole bunch of non-stories, but they only, when I say a whole bunch, it's like 5. Right. They'll give you like 5 stories a day.
Yeah.
They're all, one of them's COVID nowadays. This is a news story in Canada nowadays. You get one big chunk on COVID for sure. And then you'll have like the stupid entertainment garbage, which I don't understand why it is on the news at all. Then they'll do the weather. And then they don't even do a business report anymore. I have to go to business news for that. But they do sometimes sports, but even that's not always. And then there's some politics. Yeah, Canadian politics, which is always boring.
Always has been.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I went to England to school. I was flying back, and I watched Canadian Parliament on the plane, and watched them all arguing and being like, "You guys are arguing over the stupidest shit. Like, this is cute, like you guys are like ridiculous. Like, it's almost endearing how embarrassing this is."
See, now if we could get the Canadian Parliament to act like the Taiwanese Parliament.
What are they doing? Are they killing each other?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you've never seen Taiwan Parliament?
Oh, yeah.
They throw down. They're throwing hands.
Oh, I love foreign parliaments.
They're throwing hands
where they start
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It's actually come down to the event. They bring stuff for the battles.
Oh, that's awesome. I would love it. I would love it if it went to that. Yeah. I think right now the conservative guy would probably win in a knife fight amongst all the rest of them. But you can't.
O'Toole? He doesn't know which end of the knife to hold.
I don't know, but he's he might. I know Trudeau's not going to be able to do nothing. Singh's got carries around a weapon, so he's probably got. In a knife fight, maybe go with the Sikh guy because the Sikh guy is already packing heat. Like he's already got.
I'm pretty sure the Conservatives are rebuilding, and what they got to do, because the one thing we have to remember is that we spend a lot of time talking Trudeau, Singh, O'Toole, right? But in Canada, we don't vote the person like in the U.S., right? We don't, like when you go to the poll,
but
we don't have a slot that says for Prime Minister, I want Justin Trudeau.
No.
We vote the party, right? And by voting the party, you hopefully can keep things progressing. One of the best changeovers in my history was Jean Chrétien. Jean Chrétien, he did a lot of good things, but he kind of wore out his welcome, right? He handed things over to Paul Martin. Paul Martin delivered the last surplus that has been handed from one government to another.
Yeah, that was a good government, and then he lost.
And because and the reason he lost is because of what happens in Parliament all the time. The Liberals had been in power a long time.
Yeah.
Things were going well. The economy was good, and everything's going well. So what did Harper come in and do? Because everything's going well, you got to cut taxes, right? And he convinced everybody that the Liberals were stealing their tax money, right?
They implemented the GST.
Yeah.
The Conservatives did, yeah. And then the Liberals campaigned that they were going to get rid of it, and then they never did, yeah. And then they kept it.
And then Harper came in and dropped it 1 cent.
Yeah, well, I'm still like there's like. But
here's a problem.
My point, like I like I will support a government that's doing a good job. Right. Like I don't have allegiance to a party because
here's a problem here's my biggest issue with promising tax cuts. Right. When you promise tax cuts, the working man, the people in the middle and on the bottom rarely benefit. They rarely benefit from any tax cuts. And they usually get hurt because every tax cut has to be paid for. So what they do to pay for that tax cut, because when you cut the tax, you're cutting the revenue. You're cutting the revenue that you need to run the country.
Right.
Okay, so when you do that, they have to take it from somewhere. So they usually go and take it from social services, healthcare, and education. And that's how they covered those tax cuts. So then you're going, okay, they're taking it from the roads and all that. So now your roads are falling apart because you don't have the tax, and you're spending more for an alignment and on your tires, right? So
well, I think it's an oversimplification of
tax cuts rarely work.
Yeah, but you have but
like here's a great example of
it's only one. Yeah, but there's always, you're right when you say it's always got to come from somewhere else, but it could come from another source of tax revenue. So when one is taxed, like let's say,
we've got a problem. Here's the problem in Ontario. You want to know the problem in Ontario? Moody's. You know who Moody's are, right? Okay. So Moody's downgraded us when Ford came in. Okay, we got downgraded. Our credit rating was downgraded. Why? Because Ford introduced some cuts. Okay, he introduced cuts. Moody's said right off the top, the problem with Ontario is that we have a revenue generating problem. We are not generating enough revenue. The reason being is that the consecutive conservative governments have sold off revenue-generating assets. And it doesn't take a genius. Any businessman knows. If I've got a business that's profiting $10 million a year, and I sell that business for $30 million, the next year I'm not getting $10 million from that business because it's gone.
Yeah.
Right? So when you cut taxes and sell revenue-generating assets, that was the reason for Moody's downgrade, because they said right off the top, it's a terrible move because Ontario has a revenue problem. We are not generating enough, and it's because of successive sell-offs of revenue-generating assets and tax cuts.
Okay. Now, counterpoint to that, because it's what I believe. And I believe that that I think that if you are a low-income person,
right,
and you're struggling to meet your the necessities of life, i.e., groceries and that sort of thing, that a tax cut on a sales tax type thing or on an income tax for a lower tax bracket,
right,
is an appropriate thing.
So here's a great example. So what they did when they canceled the raise to $15 an hour was they said they were going to, people at a certain level were not going to be taxed Ontario income tax. Okay. So what they did, though, analysts looked at it, and after what they found was the tax break, the tax cut that they sold everybody on, because you're going to get a tax cut. Therefore, you'll get a bigger return, right? The people don't have the money to budget themselves to get to the return, for one.
Right.
But for two, what they found out is that had they given them the $1 an hour raise at the end of the year, instead of the tax cut, people would have had $1,000 more in their pocket. So the tax cut didn't do anything for them, and it actually cost the people $1,000 a year. And that's the lowest paid workers in the province.
Yeah. So what you're
so once again, a tax cut was paid for somewhere else.
Yeah, but I don't even know if I want to finish my point anymore, to be honest. But my point is that you're talking about bureaucracy ruining it.
Yep.
If you're selling off assets, there's an example that you can look up, and it's New York State running off-track betting.
Yep.
And they lost millions running off-track betting. The problem with governments when they sell off quote-unquote income-producing assets is that they should be income-producing assets. Once they're sold to a private corporation, they become incredibly income-producing assets. But when the government owns them, they are fucking pieces of shit losing money corporations that are run so inefficiently by bureaucracy, bullshit, and governments who've been making up government jobs in order to say, hey, we're creating jobs. Hey, but they're all jobs that are unrequired in government, creating more problems for people who are trying to get stuff done. So, I think. Let me finish this fucking point. I swear to God, Craig, I got to finish this one fucking point.
Go for it.
And that is, I believe, give tax cuts to the poor people and give it to them so that the money goes into their fucking hands instead of you taking it off of their check. Don't take it off their check. Let them have all their money. And then if they get all their money because of that as a tax cut, that is a good thing. And then if you go where they're giving the tax cuts that are detrimental, are every time some trickle-down fucking economic guy from the 80s wants to say, hey, give tax cuts, and this is where, and I am a business owner, and the corporate tax rate in Ontario, the corporate tax rate has been lowered a bunch of times in the same time that the personal tax rate has been increased. Yeah. And in the time that I've been working and owning a business. So I've done both, and I see the difference. And they take more from the working man, and they give more to the guy who owns assets. And the governments are constantly tweaking this formula where they give further and further breaks to the asset owners and further pay for shit from these increases in taxes to the working person, where I believe that that's where the tax cuts go, and that you should pay for those tax cuts by increasing it to the corporate tax rate, which is incredibly undervalued.
Oh, yeah.
Well, undervalued. And it's going to become more and more important as time goes on, because those corporations are going to pay for our universal income, and they're going to pay for our health care, and they're going to pay for our social programs. And this is stuff that we're going to need because fucking Robot Dave's going to be running everything.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's a good one.
So we'll wrap it up in a bow. Everybody that's listening, we will see you, NT. See you next Thursday. Thanks a lot, Craig.
No problem. That was fun.
gasket, man. And it's like, if it's not oil, it's nothing.
Yeah, but and you know what? Have I talked to you before about the story of Petro-Canada?
I don't know.
Like, Petro-Canada came out